All right, I don't know if y'all have heard. Apparently, the Bloodborne servers are undergoing maintenance December 3rd, 2024. Some people are starting to say, oh, this is the date that was in some PlayStation trailer or whatever it is. But Jeff Grubb already said, I can tell you guys this is nothing. Now, who knows? I mean, it's just one of those things where I'm sure people are excited. They want to see the Kadokawa merger go through. People would like to see some of the Souls games, giving a little bit of extra makeup, a touch up, or whatever you may call it, especially Bloodborne. The fans are usually, very, very, keen on getting their game in the best possible state. There's a version of it that I will not mention anything about because we want that version to actually get done fast before this merger goes on. Because at that point, PlayStation can do whatever the heck they want. But if we have a 60 FPS playable Bloodborne, then, praise the Lord. Now, the question here at hand is that I was talking about how I think, in my opinion, that a lot of, FromSoftware games are not necessarily on the mainstream received very strongly by a lot of PlayStation fans. Now, they are exclusive. Some of them, are exclusive to PlayStation, but the biggest and most aggressive community that I've seen are the PC and the modding community. That's just from my observations. Now, that being said, I made a video where I talked about where, some people in the comment section on the channel, I showed even videos in comment sections where they were like, well, these games are not really a big deal to us. And that's just the reality. I've seen comments where people tell me, man, I hate Elden Ring, man. This crazy game, this silly game. In fact, I have a video on one of my other channels where I say, the game is not easy and people were just basically ragging on the game. So there's a general consensus out there across the board anyways, and you're going to find people all over the place saying that. Now, I saw comments in that video, and I think this one person kind of helped me out because I thought I was crazy. Shout out to you, sir. You said, don't care much about FromSoft games. I enjoyed Bloodborne. It was good. Demon Souls and Dark Souls and Sekiro didn't care for. And yes, I'm a PlayStation player. This acquisition, this is the Kadokawa acquisition if it happens, means nothing for me if they buy them. They should keep them third party. If anything, it might make their games better since they always come out broken compared to PlayStation Studios games. Even on PC, the ports might actually be good. So this just might be a win for everyone. Again, these games that they make, they do filter a lot of gamers. And it's not necessarily, in my opinion anyways, I'm not saying that this is relegated to PlayStation players alone because, they're games that are all over, the different platforms do the exact same thing too. They filter out gamers when they're launched and they have a certain level of difficulty to them. And at the end of the day, it's just one of those things. So I was making the video saying, instead of a lot of the, so-called console commentators to get their act together and be ready for, possibility and the possibility of a 60 FPS Bloodborne or whatnot, they're already, pretty much positioning themselves for console war ammunition. I also got some pushback about, okay, well, the games themselves, they are exclusive on the PlayStation platform. But one thing that's actually very interesting is the sales of these games on the PlayStation platform, they're not really that strong. And I think the two more indicative games that did do well, or I would say the one game that did well was Elden Ring, but that was a multi-platform. And then the other one that did well, I guess is, if you look at FromSoft, is Sekiro. Its sales were decent. It did win Game of the Year, but its sales were not necessarily the most groundbreaking. Like, say, Elden Ring. Elden Ring was groundbreaking, right? And let's look at Demon Souls sales because this was a very interesting thing because Demon Souls was a PlayStation 5 exclusive. At the time that I was able to get this data set, apparently Demon Souls had only sold by 2021, 1.4 million copies. The game was released along, this is an AI, whatever. But let's go ahead and look at the Gaming Bolt article. The Gaming Bolt article here is written on December 2023. Okay, so a year ago. This says Demon Souls Remake has shipped over 2 million units, Returnal at 1. Meanwhile, Sackboy has shipped over 1.5 million units as per recently leaked internal documents. So Demon Soul did not really sell very well. Like, okay, let's be realistic. Compared to Elden Ring, I know a lot of people have said, Elden Ring really did bring the mainstream aspect of the Souls-like games and all of the above. Yes, there is an element of truth to that. However, it doesn't seem to me that it's translating into the sales that we would like for it to set to, accomplish. Elden Ring has something very unique to it. If, these sales were translating to these, PlayStation exclusive Souls-like games, I think we would see much more of, an influence on the other Souls games that have also come out since, Elden Ring, because many of these games were inspired by Dark Souls and Demon Souls. So we're not saying Elden Ring inspired them, but they just happened to come out after Elden Ring. Some of the examples that we're looking at are Lies of P. 7 million people played it, which is actually better than Bloodborne in a perspective of, say, exposure. Because Bloodborne hit its 7 million units around the time this same leak came out. Remember, these numbers were gotten from that Insomniac leak, right? So if Lies of P had touched 7 million, hands by this time, I guess it's because of availability more than anything else. Bloodborne being locked away, that probably did not get the benefit of availability. So what I'm concluding based on all this, and I've been thinking about it, this is really weird because gamers behave strange, is it's all just on a game-by-game basis. One game can do well, one game can do poorly, one game can do well, another can do poorly. And I think that's how we're going to pretty much weigh these games as they're being released and as they're being launched. So does this mean that there's confidence for PlayStation to take the FromSoftware games, exclusive on their platform if they were to acquire Kadokawa? There is no confidence in the fact that it's going to always sell or hit. Because if they let From do their thing, From is going to make filtery games. Like the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. When they launched it, it was much more difficult than Elden Ring itself. You had to go get these, Skadoo tree. I call them Skadoo tree. You had to go get these Skadoo tree blessings to be able to strengthen your character. And in order for you to get them, there was a little bit of rigmarole. It wasn't too bad compared to, say, some of the other things that we had to do in the base game. But again, this is their philosophy of making video games. So even though they may have some really interesting games, and they may sell from time to time, there just is something different about every single title, I think, that can make it happen. Or maybe from now henceforth, From is just going to become a household name, and everybody is going to have to deal with the difficulty or whatever it is that it has to bring and has to offer. That's what I'm thinking in my mind anyways. All right. Talk to me in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching the video. Appreciate you guys' time and audience, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Let me leave you guys with this one thing. If at any rate you think that this is not the case, I'd love for you to tell me how much time you spent playing Elden Ring. Yes, that's the litmus test I think I was going to put out. I put it out in the comments in the thread, and I asked a lot of the folk that were, basically telling me, Elden Ring was this, Elden Ring was that. So I asked them, I said, okay, how long did you play? Let's see what their response, and let's see what your response is. Peace out.